Hello and good afternoon. I'm Dr. Joseph Chalissery. I'm a practicing dermatologist and cosmetologist at Chalissery Clinic in Cochin. Today I'll be giving some hair care tips. So there is always, so we do regularly get these questions, whether to use a conditioner or a shampoo, to oil or not to oil. Your mother tells you to oil your hair. Your hairdresser may tell you about the different treatments like Botox hair treatment, keratin treatment, straightening, Moroccan oil treatment. So whether to do these or not. So so here are some of the tips that I would like to give you for hair care. Now I think one of the most important things regarding hair is your diet. So ideally your diet should contain foods rich in both iron and proteins. So some of the food like red meat, fish, leafy vegetables, legumes, beans, chickpeas, liver, all these are rich sources of iron. And for proteins you can again consume meat, fish, egg, cheese, milk, and even lentils. These are all a rich source of proteins. So always try to include foods rich in iron, protein, and omega fatty acid rich foods. Now, certain conditions, certain types of hair loss are related to vitamin deficiency. So that you'll have to check up with your dermatologist and might have to include some of the supplements. These are the natural ways of getting the iron, proteins, and omega food for your hair. Now, regarding hair wash, so ideally use lukewarm water. Don't use water that is too hot. Don't take hot showers. You can wash your hair daily. That is a personal choice. It doesn't affect hair much. Normal hair loss is about 50 to 100 hairs a day, and if you have more than 100 hairs, a loss of more than 100 hairs per day, probably you'll have to check with your dermatologist. Next is regarding the shampoos for cleansing your hair and scalp. So ideally you should not use a soap. The soaps can form soap scum, which when mixed with hard water is difficult to rinse off. So shampoos are basically synthetic detergents. These clean your scalp of the dirt, the sebum, sweat, pollutants, even the oils, lotions, sprays that you use on your hair. These can all be cleansed with shampoos. Now choosing a shampoo, yes, you will have to look into what kind of hair it is. So you have dry hair shampoos that contains more of emollients. It conditions your hair and cleanses your hair. You have oily hair shampoos which takes away excess of sebum. You have medicated shampoos for conditions like psoriasis and seborrheic dermatitis. You have baby shampoos which is non-irritating to the eyes of the baby and which have got very mild detergents in it. So it does not harm the baby hairs. And there are a group of professional shampoos which are usually given by the hairdresser after your hair treatments. These are not to be used on a regular basis. These are to be used only for the period of time after the treatment which they advise you. Now shampoos should be used on the scalp. It is not for the length of the hair. It is mainly for usage on the scalp. Then you have conditioners. Conditioners help in managing the hairs. It has got an anti-static property. So it decreases the static electricity between the hair strands, which reduces the friction and makes it less frizzy. It also coats the hair strands, so there is decreased breakage and split ends. So there are everyday conditioners. Again, just the opposite of shampoo. Conditioners are not meant for your scalp. It is mainly for your hair. So do not apply the conditioner on the scalp. It is to condition your hair. Now next thing is regarding drying of hair. So ideally you should let it naturally dry. That is, air drying is the ideal way, and it can be done with wrapping a towel, and blow dryer is not possible. Blow drying is not good for hair, and ideally you should not sleep with wet hair, and it is better not to comb wet hair. So you can put a towel, you can wrap a towel around, make it dry, and after dry you can use a comb to comb your hair. So when you're using a comb, use a wide tooth comb so that a lot of traction doesn't happen for the hair strands. Now the next thing is about oiling the hair. So Oiling and massaging hair improves the blood circulation of the scalp. They say it relaxes the scalp muscles. It improves the shine and nourishes the hair. It also takes care of the dryness, the split ends, and reduces the friction between the hair strands. And now it can be used as a pre-shampoo treatment. Just before you shampoo, you can apply oil. There are people who apply oil overnight. Well, so that is again a personal choice. So you can use coconut oil, olive oil, castor oil, almond oil, and I think best is coconut oil. You can use warm oil but not very hot oil, and you can avoid treatments like straightening, coloring, ironing, blow drying as much as possible. And if you're a person who goes for swimming, you should use a hair cap. You should use a shampoo after the wash and use a conditioner after that. Avoid hairstyles that pulls back the hair very tightly, like ponytail or bun. So these are some of the hair care tips that I would like to give you, and thank you for your patient watching.